Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream, and thank you for joining me. How are we all? Start to see some people come in. How are we all this evening? Evening to me. Hello. How are we, Lewis? How are you, mate? You're right. There we go. We've got some people rolling in. So there's a couple of things I want to roll over tonight. A couple of things that I want to look at. Where did we end up last week? Start looking at some of those things. How you doing, Philip? You all right, mate? Don't forget to all like the stream, and that as well helps push the algorithms and stuff. Tyler, evening, mate. Like I say, seeing everybody rolling now, so people are coming in. That's fine. Like I say, I really want to, if anyone has any questions, stocks, etc., through, but wanted to start off by touching on the futures where they finished off on Friday. Obviously, we've seen some huge dips on the market. Obviously, what happened with China and Trump, etc. And many of you guys were buying up the dips. Was you buying up many of the dips? What was people buying? What was everybody after? I know I was buying some stuff. I bought some PayPal, bought some Morandas, bought a lot of stocks, bought quite a few. To be honest, my it ended on Friday. Good. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't too bad actually. I mean, yeah, it's no good seeing. I think I seen about £20,000 at wiped out in a matter of hours. But when you zoom out and look on the month, it's really nothing. Yeah, we ended up down a little bit, but waiting for tomorrow to add in 2K and Tondas. See, this is where we're going to touch on some things because the futures at 11 are going to might paint a very different story to what we're all expecting tomorrow, which might be different to what everyone's expecting. I think we might see a huge correction, but some of the stuff we're going to go over is going to be huge. So, like I say, when we're looking at the when we're looking at the futures from Friday, I mean, we're down on the 3.3% on the so it's tech was down, small caps were down, VIX was up. Maybe it was a bit crazy, really, wasn't it? So, but want to start looking at some of these. Wrong tab. There we go. Like I say, when we look at the fear and greed index, fear is 29. It's starting to drop into there. I can't remember the last time we actually seen it this low. Obviously, this is up till Friday. This the fear and greed index isn't there. How we doing, Joel? You all right, mate? See, I don't see. This is where I'm a bit hit and miss, and this is where I'm going to touch on some of this stuff. It's a bit hard to say whether we're going to go into being red. Crypto started creeping back up, and I don't feel like we're going to actually start off as bad as what maybe everybody thinks it might go to. I just don't think it's going to be too bad. I mean, the crypto obviously updated 19 hours ago, and it's an extreme fear, which is understandable. I think it was like 1.6 trillion got wiped out on Friday. Obviously, on crypto, it was a different story as well. It's a crazy amount of money just to disappear really quick. I wonder what everyone was buying on Friday. Is anybody buying on Friday or getting increasing any holdings on anything? So obviously, I wanted to touch on some posts first from over on X, Twitter. So bookmarked a few posts to look at earlier. So investors are waking up to a major news from China. The entire tariff crash on October 10th, May have just been one big misunderstanding between Trump and XI. The news about China rare earth exports controls came out on October 9th at 8:30, 26 hours before Trump posted about it. This was a non-news event until President Trump posted about it over one day later. Last night, China released a statement clarifying their export controls on rare earths. In a response, China said the new controls are not a full export ban, and applications that meet regulations will be approved. Amid the market downturn on Friday, our view was that the 100% tariff announced by Trump was a bargaining chip. After China's statement last night, we believe the odds of Trump's 100% tariff on China could go into effect are extremely low. The largest crypto liquidation in history and a 2.5 trillion loss of S&P 500 market cap appears to have been driven by one big misunderstanding. So this is what I'm saying. People are saying maybe it's a big understanding. I do think that the market really, really overreacts. If I'm honest, I think obviously this year, especially people that went through April. I know there's a lot of new investors, but a lot of people went through April. And I think we've seen a lot of times where Trump would say, sorry, we'd get some news saying Trump was lifting tariffs, and then the market would bounce back a bit. And then later on, Trump would then put out another tweet saying, no, none of this is true. And it comes straight back down. So I think until we get an official deal or some kind of compromise come out, it's going to definitely be one of those that might be a bit hostile. So the next one that I saved was breaking. China appears to soften their stance on recent rare earths export controls. China now says the recent change is not a full export ban. Applications that meet regulations will be approved. Willing to engage in deeper dialogue. Looks for global industries and supply chain. Willing to engage, looks for global industrial and supply chain stability. Relevant impact of export controls is very limited and calls this as a necessary defensive action. So you have to see whether China are using that as a bargaining chip against the US. Is US overstepping? Is China overstepping? I guess we're going to find out. But I think they both need each other hand in hand, which we spoke about this earlier. But happy to snap up. I'd have to snap up the money making opportunities. Kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think we'll touch on that a little bit as well. Why it's important to hold cash in the portfolios quite a lot of the time as well. Because if you don't hold any cash, then you miss out on these dips. It can get really emotional. I've seen a few people in the Discord that it's been affecting a little bit because they're fully in. That's what happens. People are sitting a high percentage up, so they're more like people are sitting a high percentage up, so they're more likely to trim. If he says this when the market isn't up as much, it wouldn't drop as much. Yeah, exactly. I think the market's seen a very pumpy type actions in the last couple of months anyway. But this year we're up crazy. I think my portfolio was up like 300% in the last year. It's crazy. Yeah, things were already hovering over buttons. Yeah, exactly. And as soon as emotions come into play and you give people that reason, you got obviously people coming out of the market as well, selling, panic selling, etc., and then the market moving as well. I think it was a huge reaction in my opinion. I can see Trump not being happy with meeting China's regulations, so I think there's still more to come with rare earth exports. Again, Trump's a businessman at the end of the day. I'm not saying everything he does is right, not saying everything does is wrong. Same with China, but there's deals to be made, and I think that's where we're going to be at. See, we was talking about BMNR earlier, wasn't we, Will? And like I said, we're going to touch on the crypto side of things a little bit as well. So there was a few more posts that came out. I was saving a couple of days throughout the day. Like we've just mentioned, Ethereum is back up 5% as of earlier. We will check to see how that is. That's 5% on a day. Anybody that was buying BMNR when it dropped down, they're going to be opening up. You'd like to think that they're going to be opening up nice. We also had this come out. So as Vice President JD Vance continues to de-escalate with China following China's clarifying statements last night, VP Vance says, we appreciate the friendship between Trump and XI. President Trump hopes the US won't need to use leverage on China. President Trump is willing to be reasonable negotiating with China. Is Trump XI meeting announcement coming next? I think that's what is going to happen next. I think there's got to be some, like I say, until I see a deal or some type of agreement, I'm never happy with it. Scott. Yeah, Will was in us, but he was. How you doing, Leo? You all right, mate? So obviously we had some more developments coming out. Trump. So this account is Trump's truth account, and says, "Don't worry about China. It will all be fine. Highly respected President. XI just had a bad moment. He doesn't want a depression for his country, and neither do I. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it." President Donald John TJ. Again, like we say, these come from his Truth Social or whatever it is. So this account is a good one to follow. They come out as it is. Seems like he's backtracking already, which is where the market might start to come back. So then I did see this from Jeremy, and that's why I saved this, because I did think this was relevant as well. He put, if there is a rally tomorrow, it will likely be a suckers rally. This is something to be careful about as well, because tomorrow, if the market starts to reclaim some momentum, if we sit overnight, you might find a lot of people buy straight back in. Now, what he means by this, from what I read in between the lines, is if no deal's announced, then let's say at the end of Monday's market, we get another another tweet saying something about China. We're going to be in the exact same position that we started in. So I bought some stuff on Friday, and if I see the opportunity tomorrow or in the overnight markets, I'll be picking up some stocks as well. But I'm in no rush to buy in loads because, like you say, it could be a suckers rally, and you just got to be careful of that. And the last one that we picked up here, this is the last week Fed president will be able to speak before they go into the blackout period, heading into their next FOMC meeting. So again, that's something to watch about, which we're going to touch on to some of those details next. So let me load up the Discord. Just going to look at some of the earnings because we've got some very important earnings coming up next week, which is going to be very important because it's a lot of the banks that are coming in. Window, Discord, share. So me and Will, we spend our time getting this information together. So we're going to touch on these first. So let me put this on the stage. So next week we've got some important earnings coming in. You got BlackRock, you got Domino's, of course, that's a good one. Johnson's and Johnson's got a lot of Goldman Sachs, ASML, Morgan Stanley. You got a lot of these banks and big institutions that next week. So this is going to play a big part in the market if a lot of these earnings come in soft. Again, we've got to take that. So you've got obviously the stuff going on with China and Trump, and then you've got the earnings that are coming in as well. So this is something to watch. Me and Will, like I say, spend our time doing this in a Discord. So every week we put all the earnings in there and we put the news, which we'll touch on in a second as well. I mean, is any of you guys holding any of these going into earnings? Is there any that you're excited about or watching? This is really the AI version. It's crazy. Yeah, Timmy, you bang on the money. It's a huge week for banking and financial. So this is, like I say, earnings season's back now. So we're just going into the first proper week of earnings. So it is going to matter massively as to where we end up. I wonder if anyone are holding some of these. BlackRock, I know a few people have got that in the Discord as well. Yeah, same. I mean, I've only got SoFi as well. Yeah, SoFi for financials for me as well. So the next thing I wanted to touch on as well, I want to start looking at some of. So you have to ask this as well. How is this going to impact the interest rates? Because that's going to be a huge thing going forward. Now, we've got one in 16 days, 22 hours, etc. It's the next FOMC meeting on the next interest rate. We're still standing at 97.8% that we are going to get another cut. How likely does everyone still think that this happens? Me personally, I still think we will have two this year. I still think there's still room to do that. It's just going to be hard because the macro data is really not there. So it's really and we know what Powell's like anyway. He's already skeptic when it comes to this type of stuff. Timmy thinks there'll be one more cut before the end of the year. What does everybody else think? How many cuts do we see for the rest of the year? How many cuts do you anticipating into yours? I think, like I say, so far is going to need these. There's going to be many stocks, especially small caps, etc. Yes, that's Jordan's said that I think a decent pause in cuts comes very soon. It's very possible we might not even see a cut at this next meeting just because of the data lackage. Yeah, I think we might not see one for the end of the year. I think if we didn't have the government blackout, it might have been a different story. But it's really going to be hit and miss to see what we end up. Yeah, no, that's agreed. Because, like I said, we're missing a lot of data. I mean, I've got a trading calendar open here. This is all of the data. There's obviously some of this is still coming through, but this is just all the data that we see for October. We're missing out on so much data, it's unreal. I mean, there's just so much that's not being done. Yeah, Alex is saying maybe one more cut. See, so maybe everybody's thinking the same for the December cut. I think is the next one after this one. So maybe everyone's thinking the same. But how does that take an impact on Q3 and Q4 earnings? Well, not Q3 obviously, but how does that take an impact on Q4 earnings then? Because are people pricing this in? Is the market pricing this in? It's people say Q3, Q4 are the strongest, but it's looking like it could be really volatile for the next couple of weeks, maybe even months. So it's definitely something to look at. I mean, when we look at the crypto side of things as well, so I'll just pull that up. Bitcoin was up 3.1% today. So, I mean, that's starting to retrace. When you look back into the 5 days, though, it's still massively down, still down 5% for the 5 days. So we're sort of seeing a steady climb back, but how much of this do we see in this week getting back to where we was when we started? That's the problem. And the futures are going to tell a lot of stories at 11 o'clock. How much we're back up, how much we're back down, etc. We're going to see a bit of a glimpse of what's going on there. But does anybody hold any of these cryptos? Is anybody massively in them, or I mean, we're still quite. Let's say we're up 10% now on Ethereum today, that's a big retrace. But again, when we look back into the last week, we're still 6.49% down. Still got a bit of a climb to get back before Friday's open, which is obviously only XRP. I used to hold a little bit of XRP. I was eyeing it up again the weekend, but like I say, I think it's done a little bit of a retrace itself. I mean, it's up it's up 6.13% today, but it's still down nearly 11% since before Friday's open. So, and again, like we'll look at the data that we have got coming in for next week. And the data we have got. So again, like I said, Will puts a lot of this stuff in there as well. It helps me out massively with it. So we have got some key events this week. Got the OPEC monthly report. Like we say, Powell speaks again on Tuesday, so that'll be interesting. Got the NY Fed manufacturing index. So we have got some data, but it's like I said, we've got 10% of the S&P 500 companies reporting earnings this week, so that's a huge chunk of what's going on. Crypto is scary in my opinion. It is. It's a lot more volatile, but I mean, the secureness of it's why people get it, I guess. And there is a lot of money to be made in crypto. I mean, over the few years, it has been a lot more stronger than it has nowadays, but it is all over the place. But I mean, Bitcoin was on a right run up until last week. Too many old-fashioned investing influence to get involved with crypto. It's one of them. Like I say, I made some decent money off XRP, and I think a little bit. I think I've still got a few in my wallet that I bought a few cryptos, and I've just forgot about them, and just sort of the best way to be. Right. So I want to have a look at the importance of trimming as well, and why that's a huge thing that people should be looking at in these situations, because I know a lot of people were getting caught out on Friday with not having cash, and why it's important to have cash and stuff like that. So I'm going to show exactly what I've been doing and how it worked for me. Everybody knows how big of an advocate I am for Ondas, but even I was trimming at some. Anyone fancy some BMNR? You're welcome to visit us in the BMNR channel on One Week Journey. Yeah, as we all said there, we have got a Discord, which obviously is on the screen. We've got a BMNR channel. We've got a lot of channels in there, which is great for everybody. So let's get the screen up. So on my I was freeing up some cash, as you can see here on the 9th of October. Sorry, if we go back to here, in early October, I was selling some of my Ondas shares. I've got 2 accounts, so I was selling some of these. I sold 250, sold 500, sold 500 more. Just got some capital out. Started selling these at like 11 and 10. So if you're holding 10% cash, how much do you use an event on Friday? So I would say that I was probably around 10% cash, and I didn't go too crazy. I just bought 40 shares of PayPal, I think, and then some Ondas back, and I put some into my ETFs as well. Yeah, so I sold, like I said, I sold 250 shares, sold 500 more, sold 500 more, ended up freeing up nearly £10,000 worth of cash. So that freed up some good. Again, my target on Ondas was 20, but I feel like everyone's different. Actually, I shouldn't really say everyone's different, but me, when we hit 11, I wanted to take a little bit of equity out. free up some cash. But obviously, I had no intention of buying back at cheaper shares, but because it's presented that opportunity, I've now took that opportunity. And as you can see here, on 9th and 10th, I bought 100 twice here on dips. And then I've seen obviously the ones on Friday where we bought some more. So that worked out perfectly for me. Getting some nice bargains on it, to be honest. So realistically, what we got there, 3, 4, 500 shares. I ended up getting near enough half of the shares that I sold back for a fraction of the price. So yeah, I mean, I don't try and time the market, but and I didn't have no intentions of buying those shares back at a cheaper price. It just happened that way. Again, so this is another conversation I think is important to have with people. Everyone, drop it in the comments. Let me look in the chat. Let me know how much percent cash do you hold on your portfolios? Do you hold none? Do you go full in, which I know a lot of people do, or do you hold 10% cash, 20% cash? I think the benchmark that people mainly say is 20% cash, but to me, I don't have that much there. I just like to say I do like to have a bit there. I mean, like I say, at the moment on here, on this account, I think we're sitting at 4,200 now after I bought what I bought on Friday. And then obviously on my invest account as well, we've got another 5.5 grand there. So we've still got a decent chunk just in case. Yeah, so like Will said, don't force it for sure. Like I'm assuming that's with the shares. You don't try and time the market, just try and stay in there. But for me, I feel it's important, especially if you have a really big exposure to a stock. Like I think I had 11 or 12,000 shares in Ondas. I never actually expected it to get that big, but I like the company, so I just kept on buying. If this carries on dropping, I will carry on buying more shares because I think it's a bargain. But for me, 11 was a trimming point, 15 was a trimming point, and then 20, I was going to reevaluate my part of my PT, but maybe even trim a little bit then. There's people with price targets for 40 plus for this, so that's up to them. Philip says he's all in. Jake says no cash. Will saying 1% cash. Again, this is, I mean, it's so different. Some people don't like to sit on any cash. Some people do. Scott, 7% cash right now. I know, Scott, you was heavy on cash like me when we thought the recession might have been coming. So I believe you was heavy on the cash. So that's interesting to see as well. Leo, no, on Friday, I just transferred 1K into this. What was you buying, Leo? What was you was picking up on Friday? But this is what I mean. I think it's important now. I think it's really important to have the cash because I noticed a few people that were really saying how they were down and getting a bit wound up a little bit about it. But it's the aim of the game, and a few of us learned that in April when we didn't have cash for that, which was obviously I had an ISA reset then, so some of us were good, some of us wasn't. I want to show exactly what the difference was from what we dropped off and what we picked up at. So if we find this here, I posted a copy of it here. So yeah, there we go. Let me show that. And this is why it's always good to be transparent because it's not very good when you see a lot of your money going down. It's really not enjoyable to see, but it's one of them. I mean, at the end of last week, I was down 266 on the invest account, down 2.3 on the ISA, which wasn't good considering we were nearly touching 150 between the two accounts. But then it's important to zoom out. For the month, we're still up 43.3% on the ISA. And still up by 68.2% in the invest account. So it's important to make sure you zoom out sometimes. For my 15 is my trim point before I reevaluate. Again, like I say, it's important to have those trim points where you do take some cash out. In my opinion, that's how I like to do it. Jordan likes to fluctuate between 5% and 15, but aim for 10. Yeah, I always like to sit on about 10 personally. Sometimes a bit. There's no set, like it has to be a set amount though. It's just that's where I'd like to sit roughly around, but it doesn't actually necessarily have to be 10%. He was much trust fund. Yeah, eventually though, Philip, that's a good question. Do you find yourself diversifying? Because I know you're all in on Ondas. Do you feel like you will start trimming down and going into different positions, or do you feel like you're just going to stay full in Ondas until you hit your price target? See, this one is a bit different. I use my emergency fund if I see a steal and then put it back when I get paid. This one I'm a hit and miss with. Everyone's to their own choices. Me personally, I wouldn't personally touch my emergency fund because if I used half my emergency fund tomorrow to buy a load of Ondas cheap, but then ran into an emergency, we're going to have a little bit of a problem, aren't we? Scott, not trimming any Ondas until we at least get green UAS and contracts, then it will be able to make proper PTs. Yeah, totally agree. We've seen something come out earlier and there was a report saying they could see it between 60 and 90 by month end, I think it was. So that was a bit, in 3 months, that was a bit wild to see. Jake, do you see the markets jumping tomorrow now due to Trump's tweets? Personally, yes, I do see that we retrace a lot tomorrow. I don't think we go back exactly where we was, but I do think the market sees a mini slash pump back tomorrow just purely off that. But then you've got to, like I say, take into factors what happens if by the end of Monday another tweet comes out and then you double down then because it'll tumble the exact same as what it did Friday. So you have to be careful of that. Say you had 1K shares of us, how much many shares would you trim at your next PT? See, that was, I don't know. I guess if that was me and I had 1,000, probably 100 or 200, because you don't want to take too much of your percentage out. Like I say, I had 12,000. I think I'm at 11,000 now still because of the buys I've put back in on both accounts. I just wanted to take 1,000. I ended up taking a little bit more, to be honest, after because I don't know, gut feelings. Stick to my gut feelings if I have them, and I can't say that I knew Friday was coming, but something told me to get some more equity, so I did. Emergency fund's an emergency fund for yeah, completely agree. Emergency fund should strictly stay what it is. I mean, how do you? That's another thing I am interested in actually. How do you guys dedicate this out? So once you get your wages, once you pay it, and you're left with your money, what do you do? So I do a 50, 30, 20 personally, and mine is 50 in investing, 30 in my savings slash emergency fund. That is my fund, and then I have 20% to do whatever I want with for the month. What does everybody else do? Jake got the luxury of a decent indicator at 11 with, yeah. So like I say, so Jake, I was obviously showing the futures just so I show them. So there's a site, and it doesn't mean that they're right. It just means that it's a good place to start for it. Like I say, these fluctuate through the night as well. So like I say, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's right. So these are the futures here, mate. And basically you go on investing.com and find this tab, and this will give you a indication of exactly where the companies are going to be when they open. But these, like I say, me and Will post these every Sunday between us, and we've noticed a little bit of a pattern on a Sunday evening. You'll notice that it's a little bit red, nothing crazy, a little bit, and then it'll jump straight green 10 minutes later, and then throughout the night it fluctuates. Depends on what stocks you're in. Stocks like Ondas and stuff, they really love pumping the overnight markets. It depends on what you want, but this gives you a little bit of an indicator of where you're going to be exactly. So a good time to buy Ondas. Like I say, well, I mean, that's a decision for you to make. Am I still buying Ondas at this prices? Yeah, but could it go to 3 tomorrow if Trump carries on doing what he's doing? Yeah, but could we get green UAS tomorrow and it go to 2030? Yeah. So for me, I'm still buying the research I've done. I mean, I've obviously just done another interview with James Acuna, which was huge. So yeah, a lot of us have got a lot of conviction on this, so I'm happy with that. Philip, I'm going to wait till Q3 and reevaluate my PTs. It's currently 20. If my PT goes higher, trim at 20, but if not, I'm fully out at 20. I think that's fair. Like I say, it's one of them. You've got to be, especially in your position, Philip, because I know you're all in. So yeah, you've got to be careful with that. I mean, great risk and great reward, but you've got to be on the ball. Yeah, Jake. So just to touch on it, predicts the week ahead. No, it predicts the next day. So you can view these features every evening, and you'll see them working through. They stop obviously on Friday night, so you can watch them through the day. You can watch them whatever. It's a lot of us spend a lot of time looking at these, just seeing what's what. Like I say, you've got every single market, every single US market, every market worldwide that you can look at. You can look at the performances for the year, 3 years, year to date. I mean, when you look at it, look at the US 500. It's up 77.53% in 3 years. And on average, we take an 11% a year. And then last year, it's up 12%. Year to date, it's up 10. I think this was up 15, 16% beforehand. So, yeah. Obviously, you got the technicals as well. So, obviously, on the US 500, it's a strong sell at the moment. But you got to ignore the noise a little bit and play your own game. What else we got? What futures may predict the week ahead? £100 a month every month for emergencies. So again, like I say, people do it differently, whether it's an emergency fund with their savings account or again, everybody's different. You've all got to have your own plans. My plan is that my emergency fund and savings together. I prefer it that way just because I don't really spend a lot of money, so unless it's on stocks. So that's how we do it. 6 months of mortgages of bills is my emergency fund, and has been for what? That's exactly how it's supposed to be. To be fair, Scott, so my emergency fund is 6 months plus anything else that I'll put in there for savings. I prefer to save my money all for the year and then lump by my April. ISA reset, so I like to put £20,000 straight in April. But yeah, Scott is bang on the money here. So you really want to have 6 months because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You never know. Like say you could have bad health, you could lose your job, you could run into some financial hardship. Last thing you want to be doing is chipping away at your stocks and taking away from there. You really want to be holding all your money in the market for as long as you can. It's sort of a the way I look at it is, but someone said something to me the other day about obviously when it drops so much, does it not bother you? Well, it's not really real, is it? It's just, I mean, when we look at it, it's just not. Obviously, we look at the last 1 week. I mean, look, we're at like 130K around here. It's just, and now we're at 114, but it's not real, is it? It's just numbers on a screen. I mean, it is, but you got to until it's in your bank account or you sell or and like and your stocks are down. It's and like I said, we're still sitting in really good positions, so there's nothing to panic around in my opinion. Ondas is still up 109%. Nebius is still up 141. Nebius did a really nice climb on Friday and it didn't get affected at first, but yeah, everything did in the end. So Fi was still up, we're just under the 100% now, which is annoying. 92%. AST were up by 80. AST last had a right run, and PayPal were up by 1.55%. The reason with this though is I bought more in. It did have a huge drop off, and had a huge drop off, but I put my shares up to 100 now, so we're in a good position on that, which is healthy. Let's have a look. Let's go. 40 for bills, 15 for leisure, and 45 for investing. Everybody's finances are different. I know we've got a lot of this is what I do love about the Discord as well. We've got a lot of different people. We've got females, males, we've got younger lads, we've got younger girls, we've got older men, we've got older girls, we've got a lot of people dance, we've got a lot of middle. It's every walk of life in there we've got, which is great. It's a healthy balance. I mean, I had to help a guy earlier using how to share links. It's great though. It's good to see. We've got some really, really good people in there, and it's very knowledgeable. What else have we got? Yeah, I trimmed 2.5K shares at 11.60 and let my 8K shares run. Yeah, so that's smart. And like I say, 11.60, you really took it at the tip then. Fair play. I mean, it literally, I don't think you got much higher than that, did it? You literally must have you must have got it, where was it, peak 11.50? Yeah, you must have got it really peak size, so fair play. But I think that's important. Like you say, you've trimmed, I think 2.5K shares, you've trimmed a lot there. I mean, you can realistically buy those shares back now at a lot cheaper price and still have capital to play with, which is smart. I don't think that's yeah, could buy back in if we did that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not trying to time anymore. I mean, I bought some Friday. I was quite annoyed actually because on Friday night I missed this. I missed this down here, which was really annoying. I did actually have a buy order down there though, and it didn't fill around that mark. So I don't know if there's many shares being traded there. I don't know if it was just a spontaneous dip, but peace of mind, you're not living on knife's edge. Yeah, exactly. If you're living like every week where you put all your money into the market, you start checking it a lot then. And if you're checking it a lot, that's where mistakes get made because you panic sell. I mean, if you would have seen this, I mean, we seen a post on Trading 212 and a guy had bought at 290. I'm going to chuck a number at 280, sold at 3. No, no. He bought at 280, sold at 260 because it had gone down a little bit. Then he bought back in. Let me see if we can see that quickly. I don't really. It's just me on here. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be. I'm just going to check one more. It was really painful to see, and it's hard because when people are new to investing, I can understand why it's hard to not get into that because if you've not got people to talk to or bounce off, it can become a big problem. Where do you punch? Here we go. So this was huge as well. So if you haven't seen this, go check this out. This was massive. I was really happy about this. Had a really good time. James is a legend. I just seen something. Where do you put your emergency fund, high yield, and savings bonds? So I used to put mine in premium bonds. If I'm honest, I just keep mine in my account now. I've got it in a savings account doing its work. Like I say, we're not that far away from April. And to be honest, I've got my fund now. I just forget it even exists. That's why I don't stress about it. I know it's there if I need it. Yeah, will I say high yielding savings account? He's right. He should really do that. I mean, premium bonds isn't that bad. You've got to wait 3 to 5 days for your money out. So if you need it instantly, it's probably not the best idea, but it is safe there as well. It's tax free. It is good now. But like I say, there's no guaranteed result of a price. So you probably question saying the savings account's better. Take it all out and buy. Do you know what I know? Actually, it's funny you say this to me. So funny story about when I started investing again heavily. I remember I'd not long spilt with my ex-partner, life as it was. I wanted a baby blue M4, black interior. I was driving to dealership in Shrewsbury to go and look at the cars and the buy. It was £35,000, I think it was. I was invested, but not that great, like not as much as I now. 35,000. I was driving out to get it, and I was halfway there, and then I changed. What I don't know what it was. I just thought stupid. What I want to do is earn enough money. At this time, I was doing my dividends. I was doing my three-part thing. I don't want to earn enough where one day I've got enough dividends and I can just go buy that car from that. So it was free. I'd rather my money work for me. Cars are the worst investment ever. I've bought so many, it's not good. Jay, at what point in your portfolio journey when you will start treating yourself? I find it curious because I constantly want to reinvest my money, but I know what you have to treat yourself. This is I do treat myself, Philip. To be honest, I'm going F1 Austria next year, hospitality. We've got Liverpool with my partner in December, hospitality. So this is what I'm saying about my rule of 50, 30, 20. So we 50 goes into my investing pot ready for April, or I use it in my investment account now, depends on whatever. 30 goes in the savings account, and then 20 I have fun with. Like I say, I don't live a very fly lifestyle. I just work all the time and work on a Discord and spend time with my partner watching football, so it's easy. So it's not that bad. I'll treat myself at 1,850 left to go. So, like I say, it's in the beautiful thing about 100,000 is the compounding. Is like I say, it's so easy to just grow after that point. I mean, when I seen it up here and it was just growing and growing. I mean, literally in a week, we went from 117 all the way up to 113 in a week. It's crazy how quick it can grow. Hi, Destroyer. How you doing, mate? I agree. I agree. I think best thing is to treat yourself continuously anyway with your earnings just set aside for leisure, etc. outside of you. Yeah. And like I say, you have to, like I say, I think memories are everything. I think cars, I think as you get older, cars become less. I mean, don't get me wrong, one day I'm gonna have an Urus, 100%. And a Skyline R34, 100%. But they're later in life. That's retirement stuff. But I think it's important to treat yourself still and not because obviously like life's important as well. It could be all gone tomorrow. So there's about finding a happy balance. And sometimes I struggle with that. I struggle with that hugely because I'm so mind focused on work all the time. It can be hard. But yeah, you've got to find a balance between enjoying life but setting your life up for future. So you've definitely got to do those. What type of stocks is everyone looking in from Friday? Then, if we're going into this tomorrow, if we're going into the dip, we've got a lot. I mean, you've got the ticker behind me. I don't know how clear it is on the camera, so you can see every stock is red. People have got to be buying stuff. What I mean, surely there was some stuff that we seen on Friday that we've seen. So I'm going to show this of what I was looking at while we have a look at that. Me and one of the lads in the Discord. I'm not sure if I want to say his name or not. We've started a little vault. So I'm going to share this with people now. Share screen. So if we look here, so I've started a little bit of a vault for my DD. I obviously put everything that I do into the server anyway. But me and one of the lads, we've started doing a vault now. So I had a look at Coping the other day. I was doing a lot of DD on this, looking at the CEO, financials, insider shares and information. It's getting all the data. So I think Coping is a good looking stock, if I'm honest. I think it looks good. My valuations were here. So how do we open this real quick? Yeah, there we go. My valuations for the full year of 25 going forward for 12 months was bull case was 550 to 7. And I think it dropped down to 3. So it's looking quite nice now, looking quite tight. But that was bull case. Bear case was looking 3 to 4. So it was slightly overvalued. Can I ask you a doubt? Of course you can. Just ask me whatever you want, mate. Sports SoFi at 26. See, I think SoFi is worth it at this price, but it's hard for me to buy it at this price. And the reason I say that is because I'll share. Let's have a look at this. I've got a valid reason as to why I find it hard to buy SoFi at this price. I've had a rocky, not a rocky. I've had a great journey with SoFi, but so let's have a look at this. I was buying SoFi when I remember when I first bought SoFi. Let's have a look. Right there. Okay. Cancelled, boys. I remember buying SoFi back in January. So I bought it. I started buying up in February. Now I was buying this for I was paying 15 a share. And then I remember the market went to 18. And I just carried and then I was buying. There was somewhere here where it jumped. And I was look how I was buying it all through February, March, April. A couple cancelled. So I was trying to time it a little bit here, which is a bit naughty, really. So we was trying to do that because it was around earnings, I think, and it was playing. But as you can see, I was loading up a lot on my SoFi. I was buying loads. Now I ended up selling some. Was having a problem with somewhere. Here we go. So I ended up selling a lot of this, about 300 shares or so far. I've still got 600 shares of it, but I just find it hard to pay these prices when I was buying it at some point for 8, 9, 10, 11. So I feel like I'm done with so far now. I'm in a good place. I've got 601 shares. But the one was because Will bought some, so I bought another. I'm happy with this position, if I'm honest. I don't want to expand it anymore. I think my focus now is energy. So we're going to be looking at an energy and maybe even another data center play. I think that. Destroyer, you said you had a data question to ask. Carry on, mate. Is there any other stocks that people are looking at? Local, we've got quite a few people in here now. What other stocks were people looking at? What is it that people? I mean, AMPX is one I am doing active due diligence on this now, and I do like this one. I just and now something's holding me back on it. And normally, if I have a bit of doubt in something, it's normally not a good idea. But obviously, this one is one that is doing really well. The critical metals, I was informed earlier by Beast in the server. He's clued up on all this, and he's been talking about this for a very long time. And now people are starting. I think he must have been speaking about this for the last 12 months. So if we're talking 12 months ago, we're talking you're buying in the sixes, and if you were carried on buying it, you were buying it in the ones, twos, threes, and fours, and now it's in 16. So this is a massive company in Australia, I believe he told me earlier. And this is Australia's the second biggest country for it after China. I haven't fact checked that, but I trust his word. Is it not regarding stocks? It's about silver. Yeah, that's great, mate. If you've got a question, I'll keep up on what the guys talk about, the gold and the silver and stuff in the server, but I don't personally hold on it. NUAI. Let's have a look at this one. Oh. NUAI. Well, yeah, definitely was. You might want to check that, Adzi. Hype hoping to find the next. Yeah, the next. This is what I do feel a lot of people are doing with Iran. We had a really, really, really constructive conversation in this one over the weekend. I think that's what people are starting to do with Iran, to be honest. And I do I think this stock's going to be great? Yes. People compare it a lot to Nebius for some reason, and I know it gets caught in it. Is it going to be the next Nebius? It's hard to say. They've got some really, really good things about them. They've got their own energy source. Obviously, it depends how much they're allocating that still to Bitcoin mining, which they're going to find out in Q3. I don't like how the partners are kept secret for me. I don't. It's a massive red flag for me. And I don't know. I just don't like it. I did look into it. Didn't really convince myself to buy some, but I just again couldn't do it either. I did. Oh, actually, I forgot. I did buy some Nebius. Actually, I lied. When it was down, I bought some more Nebius. And how much did I buy that for? I forgot I bought that. So I bought 15 shares of that the other day as well. So I was paying 118 a share and 119. And again, Nebius, I know this is sort of contradicting what I just said about SoFi. We was buying Nebius, me and a few of the lads at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It's crazy. Then we paid 90. And now we're paying 126. My average on this started at 20. It's now 53. Averages and everything. I think a lot of people pay a lot of attention to their averages as well. And I think that can be dangerous. Don't worry about your average so much, because we had a guy in the Discord the other day who's worrying about his average and trying to save 20, 30 cents on some Ondas shares when it was at 720. And then it went to 1160. And obviously, yeah, now it's back down to 9, but he's still missed out on that 7 opportunity. Trying to save a couple cents has cost him a couple dollars. Yep, SoFi is giving access to Bitcoin in December. Don't know that's correct. I don't know if it's about strictly Bitcoin, but I think crypto in general, yeah. So what we've seen from a leak post early from SoFi Investor over on X. So SoFi Investor, he released something very smart on he started following a SoFi Investor account. So it's very smart, and they release a post earlier. He posts so much on here. So there we go. So join the crypto waitlist, open a crypto account once you've notified by email, make 3 qualifying transactions. But it says here entry phase starts 12th to 1st, 25. So that says obviously December. So Q4, we should be hearing something about that in Q3, which would be huge, which is it's good looking for sure. It's about silver. Why is silver prices so high? Silver prices are so high because it sounds a lot of the silver gets used for batteries and a lot of the stuff in data centers. If I remember right, there's a lot of stuff that silver gets used for that people don't understand what it gets used for. Like they don't know what it gets used for. So there's a real use case for silver, and I think silver's becoming going to over the time. I watch something and I've watching the lads silver and gold are going to maybe balance out. There's a lot of silver, but it's getting used up in a lot of stuff. Any unmanned system companies? See, now, obviously, a lot of you might have watched the interview with James, and obviously, he talks about um, submarine stocks. Now, there is that Rich Tech Robotics. No, not Rich Tech Robotics. There is another one that's similar to it. It's on my watch list. Um, let's find that real quick. It's here somewhere. Oh, promising stocks is it here? No, it's nucleus. My watch list. Oh yeah, Kraken Robotics. So Kraken Robotics specialize in underwater unmanned systems. We actually flagged this in the Discord a while ago. We was talking about it, so it's got to have been yeah, it's got to have been early September. So this sort of we flagged so many stocks at good prices. There's such a wide community in there. It's definitely about September. It was no earlier than that when we were talking about it. It was probably about here. So yeah, it's definitely gone up by a little bit in the last 3 months. But NUAI. Let's have a look at that. Now, yeah, so somebody else flagged. I think it might be you, Carson, to be honest, or someone that mentioned it to me. They flagged this. And it's having a real run over the last 3 months, especially over the last month. So that looks. Someone flagged this to me in the Discord. They sent me a private message. I'll have to double check who that was. Talked about it behind it. Yeah, UAM. You are right. UAMY was getting spoken about a lot. I believe Scott was the one that brought this to people's attention. Look, over the last month, literally, again, this was spoken about in the Discord a lot over the last month. In the last month, it's up by 168%. It's crazy how many guys catch so much stuff early. There's so much. This is what I mean. What's great about the network that we've built, we've got such a variety of people who are all on the same level and so respectful. It's such a good environment. No one's disrespectful. Everybody's respectful, helpful, helps each other out. It's just a great place to be. Jordan, might say there are some macro factors more generally driven up or big political focus right now. Yeah, definitely. Can I invest? Can I invest in will the price fall? Because some people say so. I was talking to Jordan. That's fine. How you doing, Rob? You all right, mate? Nice to see you, mate. Yeah, GV is a good energy company. Yeah, there's a lot. This is again. I think this is a big problem with the market as overall, though. I think the big problem that we've got with the market is everything's up, and eventually, when we start to level out in AI, data centers, in finance stocks, in everything, I think once we start to level out, some of these fraudulent stocks, so to speak, that aren't being backed by the fundamentals, the finance, etc., are going to start to drop out, and a lot of people are going to lose money. I think in these bull market runs, people are really quick to think that 85% of people in the market lose money all the time, which is when you think about that as a statistic, that 15% make money. Now, I see the money being made in the Discord, millions made over this year, millions by people. Somebody's made 1 million, which is crazy. And so to see that and then think 85% of the market loses money, and then it flashes back to that guy from the Ondas who's buying at 3, selling at 2 something, and then falling back in when it gets higher. It is right. You've got to really be careful and try and find the good within the bad, but it does come from due diligence. You've got to spend a lot of time looking at stuff. Have a look at Hives. Yeah, let's have a look at Hives and see what's going on here. I've seen other people talking about this on Twitter, but this is another thing. It's all right having 1 million people that are doing data centers. You notice all Bitcoin miners are doing data centers now, and there is a real use case for it and a real, obviously, a real lack of it. But margins have got to be there. If you haven't got the like people at Nebius, they had 1 billion on a sheet before they even started. And then obviously they've raised money. They've obviously done that through warrants and stuff. And then obviously you've got to look at their assets. They've got ClickHouse. They've got all of these. They've got like Sloka, Bezos investments. They've got loads of things to get money from. If you've just got a company that's they might have a data, but you've got to be able to acquire new sites. You've got to keep up to date with all the racks and stuff. It's not as easy as people think. Yeah, let's open a data center. Let's get Microsoft to come in and buy a load of contracts. It doesn't really work like that. Yeah, Will's right. Data centers, Iran, Hive, Galaxy. So Galaxy, I haven't actually heard of. probably been floating around. Galaxy Digital, I'm assuming it's the Nasdaq one. Like I say, all data centers are up, but which ones are going to prevail for it? I think Q3 is going to be massive. Iran, I'll be looking a lot at. I want to see their margins. Nebia's margins like 80%. I'd be as long as we're in that type of margin, still be good. 2030, what's your predictions for Ondas? I haven't even, if I'm honest, I know you really should look that far, but there's so much. The problem is Ondas, there's so much going on, so much all the time. You've got to sort of be now. And obviously, I still speak to Eric, I obviously speak to James and stuff, and obviously we're talking, like we said, Q3 and Q4 is huge, man. I'm looking a bit more shorter term now. I'm going to be in this company for a long time. I've got a lot of respect for the company, the people that work there, and I think over a long duration of time, it's just going to be a multi-bagger. I think it's just going to continue to grow. Drones are here forever; they're not going anywhere. And like I say, we're going into Europe now with Ondas Capital. We're obviously doing a lot of the American stuff with Ondas Holdings. Oh, missed me there. So yeah, they're here to stay for sure. What do you think about a good potentially selling the student loans and SoFi being a buy? I think that's huge, and I think that's what SoFi pumped back up. SoFi has been being manipulated by a lot of stuff recently, and SoFi always gets a tough time. If you've been in SoFi for a while, and anybody that has been in SoFi for a while knows that it's hard because every earnings, they have the best earnings probably out of most, and the stock will drop still hugely, and it just don't make no sense ever. They're continuously growing. Obviously, they get compared a lot to Hood. I know Hood have been having that problems this week with a lot of their data charts and stuff, but I know a lot of other companies were having that same problem as well. So I think that's going to be huge because that SoFi is touch and go. And obviously, when crypto comes back, I think it's just going to be massive. And obviously, we've got to not forget as well that they're doing about the options and stuff as well. There's a lot coming. I think SoFi's again a lot further behind Robinhood, a lot further behind Hood. But I think the gap's going to start getting smaller. But Hood's such a household name for it. I think they're going to drag a lot of it. But SoFi is its own platform. I'll be interested when it comes to Europe to have a look at it ourselves as well. What you think about the AI bubble bursting? Like I said, I don't. Again, I think everything's rising. I think eventually we've got to reach a plateau, and there's going to be your Microsofts and your other companies are always going to be here, but you're going to have your other companies like, I don't know, I throw a lot of shade with Derpy at Oscar and stuff, but there's going to be certain companies like BBAI, for instance. Look at this. This is ridiculous. No, nobody can preach about this stock more than me. I put so much time in this stock. I think this stock's great for the long haul. But how are you going to have 3 absolutely terrible earnings? And then because one person in the government said they bought £50,000 worth of shares or dollars worth of shares, all of a sudden you're up like this. It's crazy. Like, it's not, I bought one share to track it. It's not this value. Unless these next earnings come out, and I think Kevin's great CEO, but he had such a hard job when he went in there. So I think unless and there's no massive contracts coming out. Yeah, they're doing partnerships with people, but this ain't working. And I think a lot of people, this is the type of stuff that people get suckered into because they'll buy this up. Look, it dropped down to here after not a long ago. Dropped right down to here, and I think 4 to 5 is probably where it's worth. 5's a stretch. And like I say, come down to it, and then people will buy it all the way up off hype. And I don't know, man. It's. I think they put it in the future. It's a $20 stock. I said this a long time ago. I said this in April. I said this, but it's got a lot of work to do. A lot of work. Tom's starting a position in Hive Market Open. Fair play, like I say. There's a lot of these places that are going to really, really excel. There's going to be a lot of data centers that really excel, but then there's going to be a lot of stocks that get absolutely demolished. Joel, I know I've been running out of time, man. I know you've obviously, Joel. I know we're in the vault together. I'm probably going to do that after tonight, to be honest. I was tired after football, but I'm wide awake now, so I'll probably sit there for a few hours tonight, mate. Have a look at it. So, if you're worried about buying it at a current price, I would do. Yeah, this is so. My personal DCA is all. Let's say, for instance, PayPal. My initial buy-in of PayPal was 60 shares. That was my starting position. I bought 60 shares. I went in. That's what I did. So my initial position of PayPal, as Will says it, is I bought in. It's a long time ago. So I bought in with 40 shares, and that was 66.95 a share. Then I bought 20 more, 66.53. It dropped down a little bit, so a dollar costed down a little bit. Not a huge drop, granted, but PayPal's been moving north. It's been going up a lot, but obviously with a pullback on Friday, I saw an opportunity. Now I'm buying at 72. You can't always buy lower than the price that you first got in to get your average down. Average accumulation of shares beats average every time, as long as that's you in a good stock. Now, PayPal, I see it as a 120 PT. I see a lot going on for it over the next 12 months. PayPal might be a long term or more one, but this one more was a mid term, maybe a 1 to 2 year. 120 was a PT, but we're going to see what goes on with it. They're bringing crypto back into it. Crypto's everywhere in it, so we're bringing crypto. We're going to see how Q3, Q4 goes, but yeah, but like so, dollar cost average doesn't always mean you buy down. Sometimes it means you buy up. Then it doesn't matter as much as you're buying at all times. Like, yeah, I'll just buy when it's right. Dollar cost average up, dollar cost average down. It's what's important. Thanks so much. So that's Jordan talking back and forth. Well, knows. What other stocks are people looking at? So we can't. We got to look at the market as what it is. So we've got the AI. We've got the chips. We know who the chips are. We know where the AI is. We know how thing is. Now we've got data, but now we've got data centers. Now, obviously, data centers. You can put 1 million data centers all you want around any country. Are you powering them? So now we need to start looking at paying me pal. So now we got to start looking at energy stocks, because you've got to have these people that are doing it. Now, that's what I do like about Iran. Iran have got their own energy, which is great. But you've got to start looking at that. Now, when countries start diversing, like, for instance, I was on about this with Nebius. Nebius have got a London data center just outside London. And we looks like Q4 when it'll be operational. Now, the energy in the UK will cost more than the energy in the UK, in the US, which will cost probably more than the energy in Japan or whatever. So as these companies expand and go further and further, is it going to cost more? So it's going to start affecting margins. Is this going to be more of an operational cost? So where do we sit on those bases? Who's going to be because if, for instance, we've got data centers opening in the UK, we're always 10 years behind there. So we're probably going to worry about this. Does National Grid benefit from that? So then we start looking at. I mean, this is a National Grid. So obviously, do they start benefiting from this now? On the last 3 months, up by 7.54%. Is that because of the need for what's going forward? Get those hamsters back on the yeah. Jordan, man, that's funny. Yeah, but you got to start asking those questions. Who benefits from that? Is it E.ON? Because I spoke to another guy who works in this sector, and we was talking about nuclear reactors, and was talking about is it Jesus, that's vile. Is it E.ON? Is it E.ON that benefits from that when it comes to the UK? Who benefits from it? And I think that's where the next gem is. And obviously you've got the rare earths and stuff. That's going to be, obviously that's a huge one, which is obviously being battled about at the moment. But so it's one out. See, like Thomas said here, that's valuable information. Thomas, you bang on the money. Hive, based in Sweden, is 100% hydropower, which is positive. There you go. And now you have to ask yourself this as well. Nebius was opening a center in Iceland. I think it was, or somewhere really cold, wherever it was. Now, if it's colder there, obviously you got a free cooling system. Cool out is going to cool things down quicker. You'll be able to. So does then that mean you can stress that unit twice as much as one in the desert area, for instance, Vegas or something, or Texas, for instance? A lot are opening up in Texas. I know there's some exemptions in Texas for data centers and stuff. So if you've got one in a severe heated place, does that mean that your utilization of the spot comes down? And obviously, if you've got it in a really cool place, and if you've got it in a really cold place, does that mean the utilization goes up? So do you get more margins from that place? These are all the things that you've got to. I'll tell you what, I'm going to send this to all of the TA guys and tell me, right, I want to see where it's coming back to. That's going to be a trader's nightmare, that is, when we talk about gaps and stuff. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen one like that. I'm going to send that to all the TA and say, guys, can you tell me a good entry point on this? Phillips just said Amazon. Now, this is another slept on at the Mag 7, and a lot of people have been opening positions in this. I didn't notice that Paul Bot was there. This is one I've been looking at myself personally. Amazon have been slept on a little bit, and I think obviously they are LUS, I think, don't quote me on the numbers, only grew by 18% or 17% last quarter, and I think the benchmark's 20, I think. Looks that's not factual. So I think if obviously the AWS starts growing, then it's going to be a different story for Amazon. So that'll be interesting. What other stocks are people looking at? Is anybody actually looking at any of these energy sectors, or is everybody sleeping on that? Or is there anybody that's looking at it? Because I know Beast has been looking at it for a while. I know a few of the other guys, but there's got to be some people that have got some really gems of energy stocks that they know what's going to be popping off next. I mean, I don't know if there's actually a. Can you just check energy sector? I don't know if it works like that. If I'm honest, I don't really use 212 like that. It's full of like I said, there's some crazy people on trading 212, so I'll try and stay away from it and just use it for what it's for. I have a license in Canada, two sites, nice and yeah. See that's what I mean. I'm going to take a look at that. To be fair, if that's I know I've mentioned seen a few people mention it on the. Keep doing that's crazy. Seen a few people mentioning this, so it's definitely going to be worth looking in because it's what I mean. People were looking at Nebius when it was 19, 20 and saying it was overvalued and stuff, and then the same people were buying it at 60. I remember Derpy was waiting for 40 to come around. That 40 never came. So yeah, we ended up buying higher. But I'm going to add this to onto the watch list. Watch list. So what else? There's got to be like say, what is there anything else? Is anybody looking at any of these financial stocks, or where are we looking at next? Is there anybody else looking at them? So I'm only going to stay on for about another 10 minutes or something anyway, and we'll go through that. I want to start locking in some stocks. I'm interested to see where this goes at 11 o'clock for sure. I want to know where that went, but yes, let's make sure that's fine. I'm interested to see where we open up. It's going to be interesting. I wonder if Trump's put any more news out on Twitter as well. Oh, there we go. Financial markets are evolving. The minus 19.5 billion crypto liquidation and 2.5 trillion equity market crash on October 10th have highlighted a crucial point. Markets in 2025 have evolved at their most reactionary form in history. When you couple this with record levels of leverage and an FOMC enticing market and heavily participating algorithm traders, it becomes violent. Headlines and posts are now able to move trillions of dollars out off market caps in a matter of minutes. In our view, there has never been more exciting time to be an investor than now, and the ability to remain objective and capitalize on emotional swings in the market is alpha in 2025. We're ready for another big week ahead. Yeah, this is facts. To be fair, um, we're in the best place that you could be for the market. There's never been a better time to be an investor, I think, and this is a catch 22 because we've got a lot of 18, 19-year-olds that talk to us and they think that this is normal, and this is great for everybody when we're seeing gains like we are, and we're seeing stuff like this over the last year. You're seeing 277%, you're seeing 302% for the max. Obviously, it's just over 40k. So when you see these type of gains, it's like, oh my god, every year I can make 75 grand on top of this, which means I'm going to be a millionaire in like. I love this. Like I say, if you want any of these details, by the way, all the Twitter links, all the links I use for research, all of the sites I use, everything, there's an ebook in the description of this video. It's free. Everything's free. There's a checklist and an ebook. Pick it up. It's got loads of terms if you're a new investor and you don't know stuff, or even if you see an advanced investor and you might just want to top it up and stuff. There's loads of websites that I use that are mostly free. There's everything there. It's just stacked. It's free, like I say, so there's no harm, no foul. But you are right, George. It's and so is his tweet here, which is I'm glad I picked that up. We're in markets now where what happens when because you've got a lot of people that are coming into the market, and this is normal, so they end up going into a lot of trash stocks. We can just say it what it is. There's a lot of trash stocks out there. There is a lot. There is. And they end up getting stuck in these stocks and they make money and they get out. But then next year, when because the market's supposed to move like 11% a year on average. I mean, don't move just like that, but that's on the average. So when they go next year and they only make 11%, let's say they make 15% next year. Well, they're too hungry then. They want the 300%. So what happens then? Do we start making mistakes and tripping up and losing a lot of money? Because, like I said, we're seeing some of that people now. Because obviously, people like us that were buying up in April and over the past couple of years, COVID, etc. Everybody's got a really high percentage on their profile, on their portfolios, but people who have started now, who are just coming in and now they're having these hits and they're down 30, 40%, it's a very different story and mindset. And obviously, I know we talk about a few people on TikTok and stuff who are sitting on a lot of cash on stuff. And I think when you get to 100,000, there is a little switch in your head as a content creator and stuff like that. You don't want to go back under that marker because 100,000 does change things. Like it's a big step in a portfolio when you do that. And I think once you get to 100k, it does change everything. So I had this little moment myself the other day because my investments have now gone from starting at 10,000 or 20,000, and now I've got let's say I take everything out of Ondas today, I've got like 60 to 80,000 pounds to put into an investment, and that's, I won't say scary, but there's a lot more wear to it because obviously I know it shouldn't really be, but if you lose a couple of grand and stuff, it is what it is. Like you knew the risk you're taking, but when we're talking £80,000, that's like 3, sometimes 4 years worth of wages for someone. That makes the dynamic a little bit different then. So you have to find that consciousness, and obviously the money pot just gets bigger, obviously, so you've got to get learn to do that. But I understand the mindset of people because for some people, my 100,000 is there, 2,000 and 2,000 pounds, a lot of money. I mean, this is a lot of money. I'm hugely blessed. It still seems so surreal when I look at my phone 200 times a day to look at it. But but it's very surreal to have that. And like I say, we got good people around us in the server and stuff. I mean, I had a bit of a moment yesterday where we had a bit of a run in with some troll online, etc. And people are honest. We ain't surrounded by yes men, and that's why it's good. It's good having a good network around you, and it's good to have people that check you when you need to be checked in a respectful manner for sure. Thomas, what energy stocks? I'm struggling with energy stocks. If I'm honest, like I said, there's certain sectors that people excel in, and certain people sectors that people just don't. Healthcare, hate healthcare. Just don't like it. And if you don't enjoy the sector, I've had a few people send me their portfolios, and they go, "Oh, Jay, I've bought all these stocks," and I look at them and I go, "Well, you've got Oscar there. Do you like healthcare?" And they go, "Oh, well, not really." And I go, "Well, you've got Fubo there. Do you like the entertainment?" They go, "Oh, not really." I'm like, "Well, why are you investing in that?" If you're not passionate about the stocks sectors and the stocks you're in, you're already setting yourself up for fail. Now, financial stocks, I love deep diving financial stocks and data center stocks. I love it. It makes no sense to me. Gigawatts and all this, like what? But the more and more you read it, it's and that's what with the drones as well. When they talk, there's so much details into it. It's good to get into because you start learning a lot more. But I've noticed the way I start talking now as well when I'm texting, I look at it sometimes and think, "What have you become?" Poet will actually be beneficial for data centers, but early days might be worth a quick look. Let's have a look at Poet. I've seen this one mentioned a few times, like I say. So you do. I've done that every single time I've talked in a new stock. Poet Technologies. What do Poet do? Are they Poet Technology designs, develops, manufactures, and sells discrete and integrated optoelectronic solutions in Canada? Simple office integration solutions based on the Poet operations and novel platform that allows seamless integration electronic. Okay, so so some of these stocks I like to look into. I like to, even if there's a lot of stocks that I do a lot of due diligence into and then never even get into. Same with coping the other night. I think I did 3 hours maybe on that. Did 3 hours on that and I never even invested in it. But Thomas Treffield, I had a read. It's a great book. Thanks for that. Yeah, no worries. I spent a lot of time getting it right, designing it, making sure it was right. I wanted to make sure that I could give back a little bit. I just remember when I was investing on my own, on my own, and I had no network and stuff like that, and it was hard, it was tough. So I tried to make something that can help people back. I've been up to my high risk shouts. Someone mentioned ABAT to me earlier as well. A few people are talking about America. So, like I say, yeah, the batteries is another big sector that I think people are sleeping on. I think that one's going to be another good one to look at for sure. Ocean Power Technologies. See, these are the stocks. This I'm not saying this is a bad stock. I'm going to use this one as an example though. These are the type of stocks where people will look into now and see how it's $51 a share. Sorry, 51 cents a share, and they will look into this and they'll go, right, this one's really cheap. This is going to happen like it did to IRA and everything else, and they'll come in and they'll buy a stupid amount of shares. I'm not saying this stock in particular, but they'll buy a stupid amount of shares. I mean, a PE ratio is minus 36.0179. See, average volume, six. See, so 6.51 billion average volumes, quite a decent amount, to be honest, for something like this that I've never heard of. The market cap's 94.93 million. Ocean Power for the capitalizes proprietary systems that generate electricity by harnessing the renewable energies of the ocean waves in North America. See, this could be something that's a good motivator. It might be something that they end up really going off, and because the margins are going to be huge because it's only operational cost that's smaller. So I will add that to my watch list as well. I like to have a look into some of these. I've got to find an energy stock. There's got to be a gem out there somewhere that's Jordan for sure. Don't chase anything in the stock market. Yeah, exactly. Stick to what you know and find. Obviously, always try and learn more. So once you've got your sectors that you know, your AI or your drones or whatever sector it is that you're in, obviously always get better at a sector, but then branch out into something else. Branch out into another sector. See if you can learn something from that, and then pick those up for sure. Alex, stick to your strengths. Yeah, 100%. Like I just touched on a bit of that. So I mean, we've got notifications coming in at this stuff is crazy. I mean, look at this. This is just it's just nuts. I mean, is that the real? Yeah, it is. Well, this is what you have to put up with. This is what you put up with on Twitter. The Prime Minister of Israel. I mean, it's crazy, but there is some good, obviously, that comes out of it. Obviously, there's a lot of the war talks that are happening, peace talks and stuff. I'll stay away from politics. I ain't getting involved in it, so I'm coming away from that. I don't get involved. Um, is there anything else? Nothing I care about. No, so that looks it. So again, I'm probably going to call it there. So got an hour in. We've spoke about a lot of stuff. I appreciate everybody checking in. Appreciate everyone coming to talk. We had some good discussions. Um, yeah, yeah, agreed. Like I said, Tom, it's I just stick away. I stay anytime there's a political talk in the chat in the Discord, anything like that. I steer well clear. My views to your views to Will's views to Jordan's views, they're all going to differ. And I think the best way to be is you're allowed your opinion, but don't force your opinion. And realistically, the decisions get made anyway. So, like I say, I don't get involved in politics. I just don't enjoy it. And I know it's a big thing when you're investing to be clued up on the politics and stuff, and you've got to be there. So I do rely on the chat to feed a lot of this stuff, and I do obviously have to follow Trump. He's the the prime minister. He runs a country. Do you know what I mean? So he's in charge. You've got to follow him. If it was Joe Biden or something, I'd have to follow him too. You need to know what's going on. And the problem is, it can share folders online. Joint share. Oh yeah, okay. It like I say, it's just you have to stay in the loop with it because it's important. When he puts something out, it changes the market, so you need to be there and with it. But yeah, like I say, I try and stay away from it. Yeah, Joe, I appreciate it, man. Like I say, it's always worrying with the streams, especially because we've got a smaller following that you don't know if there's going to be enough people turning. And if you're just talking to yourself, you're just going to end up having a problem. But we're going to do these every Sunday night now, so I'm going to give it at least an hour or two on a Sunday night. Start doing these, start talking, just going over what happened in the week, what we've got the week ahead. And obviously, we're going back into earnings season now, so it's huge. So obviously, on a Sunday, we can catch up on what's happening. Like I say, appreciate everyone's time, appreciate everyone tuning in, and thank you very much for your time. Peace out. Thank you very much.